Hey guys, it's your BFFs, your best fight friends. You know what I was thinking about today, Rachel?
What was that, Kelsey?
I was thinking about friend of the show, George Foreman, and how he said that today, if he had come home today, he'd probably be a UFC fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Told us that when I talked to him for Heavy and some other sites. That was intriguing to me. And then I just listened to a podcast. Brant James hosted Mike Tyson. He said that the main reason he wouldn't be a UFC fighter had nothing to do with what the UFC fighters did inside the octagon, but how much money they made. Basically, he was like, they don't make enough money. I don't think I would do it for that reason. And there'll be links more to information about how you can listen to that podcast and how you can read the story. But I was wondering, Rachel, what do you think about just the idea? Is it even fathomable that just because someone is an elite level boxer like Mike Tyson or George Foreman were, or today Vasyl Lomachenko or Terrence Crawford or Canelo Alvarez, could those guys be UFC fighters even? Could they do that? I mean, it's like, to me, like, I see how there's translatable skills, but they're also pretty different sports, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. I feel like whether it's UFC or boxing, it's really tough work.
Well,
and unless it's like ingrained in you or you're between a rock and a hard place, like, I don't know how people like do it. It's not one of those things where you're like, I'm kind of athletic. I think I'll try this out and do it. You know what I mean? Like, you could possibly do that with basketball and I'm not going to say you're going to get far that way because all of this stuff takes really hard work and conviction and endurance and stamina. But boxing and MMA especially,
they're different than basketball
because of how brutal it can be. It's really hard. You're alone in the ring or the cage. So I don't see just like somebody casually being like, you know what, I think I'll try this out.
Like maybe early 1990s NBA was pretty rough. Remember back then with the New York Knicks and they had the Jordan rules and all that stuff. But for the most part, yeah, you'd better love it. You better love it. Not just anybody can love what happens on fight night, right? It's you better love training.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. Like, I'm not sure Canelo Alvarez could be a UFC fighter, but not because he doesn't have the ability, I don't know if Canelo clearly loves boxing. He would have to clearly love UFC. He have to clearly love MMA to be a great MMA
it'd have
fighter.
to be like in your heart. And so that's what I'm not sure about. So me as a fan, like, I see a lot of differences between boxing and mixed martial arts. And I enjoy watching both.
Yeah.
But for very different reasons. And so I feel like if you were, Canelo, I see somebody who, like, you know, this is part of him and it's part of his culture. It's part of like who like he is, and that's boxing. I don't think mixed martial arts would be a thing unless it was like a little seed planted in his little heart.
By Jesus!
You might think like somebody who grows up like in a blue collar type of family and then like they're totally interested in dance. Well, then that has to be planted in their heart because they're going to have to work super hard because they're not going to have the support of their family and culture all around them to pursue that. But it has to be something like deep down in you. And there are things in this world that you know, some people have jobs that they do
so that they can do the thing they love on. It supports the thing that really like to do.
But if you are like, and I'm going to like all sports, dance included, like all like Olympic athletes, there is something extra here that this person like has to put into play if they want to attempt to be the best at what they're going to do.
I don't have the answer. So sometimes I come up with these questions that we want to talk about and have like my take on it. I don't really have a take. This is literally something I just thought of.
It's funny when you mentioned like George Foreman, who said if he had come up today, he'd probably be a UFC fighter, and that really surprised me because I was like, what does he mean by that? Like you would just be this instead of, like, I don't know.
So the story I make up about George Foreman is that he is really great at promoting himself and remember the George Foreman girls? He's really great at whatever that is, and he'll say stuff for that reason. I don't know. Like, George Foreman won a gold medal at the
Yeah.
Olympics, and he had only fought for a couple. That being said, George Foreman was a terrifying monster. And if George Foreman would fight in UFC, he would be terrifying in the octagon too. I don't know. I mean, that's what he said. We should just give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
He would be a UFC fighter. Mike Tyson said, I need some more money. And there's other guys that have thought about crossing over or vice versa, right? Conor McGregor wants to box, but does Conor McGregor really love boxing? I know he likes boxing, but he really loves MMA. He loves what he does. If he didn't, he would have been a boxer originally and not a UFC fighter. I just think
Yeah.
they have to
And
follow
it
their
might
hearts.
be that maybe people do uncover like a new passion
Holly
for
Holm's
something.
a great example.
So yeah, I was going to say there have been women who have come from boxing because women's boxing isn't as lucrative. So they've come over to the UFC or Bellator or whatever it is and made like somewhat of a career there that was harder to do in boxing. And like, yeah, Holly Holm, like she had success.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see another. Just as a side note, Chris Cyborg she wants to box. She wants to box Cecilia Brækhus, who's the #1 pound for pound, arguably woman. She's undisputed welterweight champion in boxing, and that'd be a good fight. I'm interested in that.
I will say this: if anybody like is when they cross over, I think you have to be all in.
Yeah, and Holly was all in. Like,
and you have to
stop boxing.
Yeah, you have to change your mindset because boxing, when you're only using your hands, it gets very detailed,
It's
like
very different than
with
what
your
MMA is.
hands and what you do and the way you are defensive and the way your body moves. And then if you're going to go over to, MMA, like you have like all of a sudden you have all these other martial arts, but the way that you use your body, like the lines, like, historically with martial arts, what is it called when you do, it was the stuff I liked when we did martial arts, the routines, the forms, your forms, where it's about the lines of your body and strength, and that's very different than boxing. So I think
boxing is more like a dance.
You have to like let go of your previous, thing in your head and be all in on this. So it is possible, but it's not like a casual like, oh, boxing, MMA, what am I going to do?
I think the biggest thing, and I heard Holly Holm talk about this, was basically that you had to retrain your brain and what your brain does without thinking. The things that, because you can't duck. In boxing, you can duck your head down. You do that a lot. But you can't do that in MMA. Someone's going to kick your head off, clean off your shoulders. So there's all these things that take time to break. They can be done, but it takes time. That's why I don't really take Clarissa Shields seriously when she says she wants to be a UFC fighter until you're going to have to make that break. You're not going to be able to go back and forth to both. It's hard enough. You saw Conor in the boxing ring. He didn't look like a boxer because he's not a boxer.
Yeah.
So that thing takes time. Anyway, it doesn't take you any time to like, comment, and subscribe to Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel. We're your BFFs, your best fight friends. We want to talk to you about boxing. We want to talk to you about the UFC. We want to talk to you about Bellator sometimes. We want to, you know what? We'll talk about one championship. Heck, we'll talk to you about WWE sometimes, fools. If it's WrestleMania, it's on. And you know what I like most about our show? It's always on, Rachel. There's so many episodes people can just watch it right now on YouTube. And I tell you what, for right now, limited time, especially because of the pandemic, all of our episodes are free.
Somebody watched one of our old episodes.
I saw that.
Today, and I was like, oh my god, we look so different.
Different time back then.
The lighting in here was different. Our chairs were faced the other way. Yeah. Anyway, don't know why I'm talking about that. Thanks for watching.
See you guys later. Gun hands.
Okay. That's inappropriate.
Is it offensive?
We don't make
double gun hands.
Okay.